wants to working for us. Good. We're going to follow up a little bit with what we internally in the Alliance have in terms of what states, the membership in our states, looking at the political, worldview, as we can call it, as we see it at least today for us in the midterms. So, yeah. So, what's at stake? This we've talked about over the last couple of days and just got a lot of great information. The senior vote, vote by mail, very important to seniors, and we're seeing assaults on that day after day, week after week at the state level and the federal level, what we can do about that. Our midterm plans, when we all go back home, and then protecting the right to vote, tied in even with vote by mail. U.S. House and Senate, obviously a third of the Senate, every House member. This is the year in the midterms where 36 out of the 50 governors have races in them. Very few have races in the presidential year, and then there are 3-4 states that do the odd years. Sorry, New Jersey, we're picking on you, for example, and Mississippi, and Kentucky, and Virginia. But for some reason, they're odd year election people. But this is the big year for governor's races and all the programs that flow through the state as well. Secretaries of state, kind of a sleepy office till about 10 or so years ago. Important, you know, get your driver's license or some like that. But now, because of the assault on voting rights, secretaries of state and who they are more important than ever. And a lot of legislative seats around the country. And you can see there how close we are in Arizona, Michigan in the House, Minnesota, both Wisconsin chambers, New Hampshire, which has the largest small state, and it has like a 400+ state house. They don't even have offices. You have to go down to the Home Depot and literally and find your local legislator when he's stocking shelves or she's stocking shelves. That's how politics in New Hampshire works. Very strange. They're still doing those old New England town hall meetings. Pennsylvania Senate, we're close there, and the main house. So there are a lot of legislative seats right on the precipice. We know what's at stake: Social Security, staffing at SSA, Medicare, Medicaid, this new AI program in the 6 states, Washington State, the local newspaper in Seattle, is uncovering people who are denied basic things like cortisone shots because some AI computer says it's not good to have one for your knee. And there's been a lot of publicity already on this. PRO-ACT, future of the Postal Service, voting rights, all key issues for us. So let's talk about the senior vote. Right now, demographers and actuaries say we are in peak 65. Between 2024, 2027, more Americans will turn 65 in those 4 years than any time before in our history and any time projected into the future. So the 2026 elections are the key election for people who are 65 plus, which will be the largest voting group of the 65 plus people now, and then also pointing towards the 2028. So the senior power is in numbers at the highest level it's going to be ever, unless we have another baby boom in the future. Right now, we used to say 10,000 people turn 65 every day. Now we have to say 11,400 every day are turning 65. So they're all going on Medicare. Half are probably already on Social Security. So all of a sudden, as we know, you get into your early 60s, you kind of know what Social Security is, and you know when your normal retirement age is. But then you got to start thinking more and more about Medicare as you get closer and closer to 65. And we can message and persuade much better. And now we have the largest cohort in American history to do it with. We know seniors always vote. Year after year, this is just going back to 2014. The senior turnout is the highest of any age group, and especially look in the midterms in 2022 and 18 and 14. Senior vote stays high. 18 to 24 fluctuates, all the other groups, but the senior vote stays high. And seniors have been voting more Democratic. That's because baby boomers are now becoming seniors. The previous generation, much more Republican, much more greatest generation types, much more Reagan types. Now, the demographics of people who are over 65 or people who came of age in the late 60s and early 70s. Vietnam was very important and was divisive. Women's rights, very important as well. Roe versus Wade came in that time period as well. Civil rights, the post-1965 implementation of the Civil Rights Act. So when Barack Obama was elected, no baby boomer was over 65. His coalition didn't really emphasize seniors, different type of seniors. Today's seniors, 70% of baby boomers are over 65, and by 2028, it's going to be 90%. 2029, every baby boomer will be over 65, 1946 to 1964, the birth years there. So we have momentum that way of talking to our cohorts are voting better. So we had some good races in 2025, 2 governorships, Jersey and Virginia, and California Prop 50. And seniors voted blue. Seniors in the last 2 Virginia and Jersey races voted red. So we're already seeing the baby boomer post-65 cohort turning blue. 2 points in Virginia, doesn't seem like a lot, but for people over 65, that's huge. Same in New Jersey, 3 points as well. Prop 50, 16 points, which won. Getting close to what the statewide margin was as well. Older women in particular had bigger margins. And it was only 2 points for men and women, but it was in Virginia 18 points for older women. So older women, 65 to 75, very persuadable and very pro-democratic now. Same in New Jersey and also in California. We got to be talking to the men more, but making sure older women are turning out, and they also outnumber older men as well. Prop 65, 37% of the people who voted in California were over the age of 65. Now, if that isn't a big voting bloc, there isn't one. And we saw it also voted blue as well. In New Jersey and Virginia, it was about 33 to 35% of all voters were over 65. That's how important our voting bloc is. What we did in California, where are our Californians here who are in some of the Prop 50 phone banks? And I know Rob England is here somewhere. Yes. Our CARA Alliance, California Alliance, made over 400,000 phone calls in Prop 50, almost 450,000. And in Pennsylvania, well, I know we have a few Pennsylvanians here, made 37,000 calls back in 24, the largest labor group that made phone calls. And Rachel put it together, our executive director there as well. And that are 2 states to point out, but we were doing it everywhere, doing it in Wisconsin. Linda and Dora here from Arizona, doing it as well. Year over year, we're getting the numbers. It's seniors calling seniors with a senior message. It can't get any better than that in terms of persuasion. Vote by mail. How many people have at least once in their life voted by mail? How many do it regularly? Right. There, Washington, Oregon, you can only vote by mail now. Colorado moved that way too, and they want to take it away from us. Safe, effective, APWU, I know there are APWU members here, have a wonderful program of dispelling all the rumors on vote by mail and how safe it is. And guess who votes by mail more than any other group? Ha ha! People who are 65 over, 40%, according to the Democracy Center in 2024, the highest group. A lot of states now, automatic vote by mail comes in the mail, right? And I live in the District of Columbia, comes in the mail, the ballot every couple of years. And Michigan went that way a couple of years ago and brought up turnout, for example. So it's something that is safe, it's something that is pro-democracy, and they're in courts trying to stop vote by mail. They're trying to stop drop boxes, for example, early voting spots, for example, hours of early voting, days of early voting, and it's rippling through the country. And I'll talk a little later, we've been in court in a lot of states on this is an anti-senior assault by attacking vote by mail, drop boxes, days, the drive-up drop boxes, especially during COVID, for example. I thought we were in a democracy where we want people to vote, but we have one political party. Someone once wrote, the only political party in the world democracies that is aggressively seeking to suppress the vote. And that's what we are fighting against right now. That's right. Doesn't want intelligent people voting. Yes, and that's part of their, they are on tape at some of their conferences. Remember, 16, Trump said, we love the lower educated. Yeah, exactly. That's part of it. Yes, just as Governor O'Malley said, just watch the fox, right? Just watch the fox every day. Right now, at the Supreme Court, the Republicans went forum shopping. They went to, of all places, Mississippi, which has for 30 years had a vote by mail where if it was postmarked by Election Day, which about a dozen plus states have, and it got to the local voting office within 5 days, it still counted, but had to be postmarked. Democrats and Republicans, everybody fine. Nobody complained. Voter turnout went up. So the Republican National Committee went around the country and forum shopped, found this law in Mississippi, filed a federal court case saying, well, Election Day is Election Day, even though since the 19th century, they've been counting votes after Election Day, for example. Federal judge, Republican appointed in Mississippi, said, no, the law stands. Then they go to the Fifth Circuit of Court of Appeals, the worst, most conservative circuit in the country. Takes in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, for example. And they wrote this horrible, internal, illogical opinion overturning the Mississippi law. And unfortunately, we're at the Supreme Court right now. And it was argued just a couple of weeks ago. We at the Alliance, as part of our court endeavors, intervened. We were an intervener in Mississippi at the beginning on the side of the state of Mississippi to keep the 5-day grace period along. And our Mississippi President, James Sims, is right there. Yes. And it was so great when we saw the briefs on the Supreme Court, because the case is called Watson versus RNC. Watson's the Secretary of State. But then later down the line, interveners on all the Supreme Court documents, Mississippi Alliance for Retired Americans. And thanks to them. And in a number of other cases around the country too. So we're waiting to see what the Supreme Court will do with this, and they have to have a decision by June. But it would disrupt elections in about a dozen states that give a grace period as well. We were in court about that in North Carolina a few years ago under North Carolina state law as another important state. So that's what we're up against on vote by mail. All right, we have numbers and we have races. Alaska. I know we have at least one Alaskan here. There she is. Yes, two, yes. Two, yes. Thank you, and aloha. But we can win back a Senate seat up there and the governor's race. Arizona, everything is on the line in Arizona. All the statewide offices, governor, attorney general, secretary of state, at least 2, maybe 3 House seats. Georgia Senate, we're going to re-elect John Ossoff and hopefully keep him away from a runoff, although he's been pretty good so far in those. That will save us a lot of time and money. And our Georgia Alliance is having its convention in a few weeks. Iowa, there's hope there in the governor and Senate as well. Maine, it's up there as one of the 2 or 3 most important. You got to get somebody through the primary and take out Susan Collins, who 36 years ago said she was only going to run for 2 terms. Yeah, how'd that work out? Michigan's like Arizona. Everything is on the line statewide, plus several House seats as well. North Carolina, putting Governor Roy Cooper into the Senate. So far, so good, but we can't take the pedal, our feet off the gas pedal. And then one of the most pro-labor, pro-worker, pro-Social Security candidates is back, Sherrod Brown in Ohio, yes. Great friend to us when he was in the House and we were doing bus trips to Canada when he was a House member, was getting on buses with us and going to Canada to show how much drug prices can really cost, for example. So that's statewide. And things will develop, possibly Texas as well. We'll see.
What about Pennsylvania?
No Senate race in Pennsylvania, but we have a governor's race that, frankly, keeping our fingers crossed, not targeted right now. And hopefully Governor Shapiro can take 2 or 3 or even 4 seats with him in what hopefully will be a big win. The Republicans are not putting a lot of money in Pennsylvania right now. Right. And here's some House seats, just a first group. Arizona, several in California, Colorado, 2 in Iowa, maybe 3. Second seat in Maine, Jared Golden's retiring, so it's a tough open seat. Michigan, the Flint area and south of there, this is more down towards Lansing, very tough. We might be able to take it out because of gerrymandering. We have to keep North Carolina 1. Nebraska 2 is that open Omaha seat, that little blue dot, because if Nebraska gives 1 electoral vote, it's that district every year, waiting on a primary. Michigan 8 and 7 and 10. So we had 3 there. Have to talk to our alphabetizing committee about this. New Jersey, potentially. A couple to hold in New Mexico. A couple to hold in New York and maybe take 1 over. 3 in Ohio. If Sherrod can do well at the top of the ticket, we can do well there. 2 and maybe 3, potentially even 4 in Pennsylvania. Texas, Virginia, just because of the new balloting that happened, we may have 4 or so there now. And up in Washington, one as well. So we've already started, and this is fluid. This is going to change. Late-breaking races appear, disappear. Some candidate turns out to fizzle. Some candidate doesn't have enough funding. Someone comes out of a primary. Things are very, very fluid in the House. But we've already started endorsing because labor is starting to endorse. We have some good candidates. Open seat in Montana because of a vacancy. We have an IAM member who's a member of the National Federation of Federal Employees, and he's a smoke jumper named Sam Forstak. One of those people that go fight fires. They're called smoke jumpers that jump out of airplanes into some very dangerous situations. Young, dynamic candidate. And the whole labor movement and party is behind him. John Larson, our hero for Social Security, yes. Has a primary, and we're helping him as well. And a well-funded millionaire running against him in a primary. So we've already endorsed him. Robert went up to endorse him a couple of weeks ago in Connecticut. Connecticut Alliance is behind him, helping him where we can with our PAC funds as well. So he has a primary. Connecticut's kind of strange. They have a convention, then they have a primary, and then the general election. A couple of states still have those. So the convention in May, hopefully there's a possibility he can win and the others won't challenge him, but then the primary will be in August. So we're going to have to work with him all year and bring him back, because he will be chair of the Social Security Subcommittee when we get some reform in the next Congress as well. And we've started a governor in Maine, member of the IAM, Troy Jackson, was a logger for most of his life. That's not easy work. And then was the Democratic leader in the state Senate. And they have that ranked choice voting that a couple states have. And he is coming up in the polls because his opponents are the son of the current Senator, Angus King, and the daughter of the other Congresswoman, Shelley Pingree. So it's like, this is people, not royalty campaign that he's running. And he's getting a lot more endorsements. That Native Americans have endorsed him. We have endorsed him. And their primary is coming up in about 6 weeks or so. So we're starting already. So let us know what's going on in your state, when the state feds are endorsing, how we can help. We have a great comms team that can do, these tweets and the like there, and the threads, because the members and the candidates then take it and they put it out in theirs already. Larson did it very well with him. Troy Jackson, anytime they put out a press release on a new endorsement, it's always right there and endorsed by the Maine Alliance for Retired Americans, for example, as well. So what do we need to do going forward? Because we are a people organization, we need people's stories. And I know we have workshops on that, but the most powerful instrument other than the human voice is that camera you're holding up and talking into it for a minute or so. Getting real life, as Jason said earlier, we don't need the canned, leaders talking. It's people to people, retiree to retiree. So we can never emphasize that enough. As you know, we endorse and we do events with our endorsed candidates. They love doing events. Who doesn't want a bunch of happy seniors, with a political, hey, we're here. He's the best on Social Security. She's the best on Medicare. We're celebrating their birthdays. So we can do that. Our training at groups like this and in the states. We all love July 30, the Medicare, Medicaid anniversary, August 14th, the Social Security anniversary. Love to do events, especially in August when all the politicians are at home, and we can do events there and give them their hero and zero awards, for example. The labor, AFL-CIO has the Working Family Toolkit, which we can use. We can put our things up on it to do nice side-by-sides and pamphlets and one-pagers. And then earned media. Again, this goes back to stories. Getting on local news, getting in the local newspaper with a good story, or unfortunately now the way things are running, a bad story on, I was denied on Medicare because some computers said I didn't need a shot, for example, and I had to wait 6 or 8 weeks as well. Or they cut the senior program that I relied on for going down for my meal every day down the street, for example. So more and more free media we can get, earned media as it's called, important too. Again, people to people. And again, phone banks. Arizona, California, I mentioned Pennsylvania, Texas, Wisconsin this last cycle really bared down and got great results. A lot of our states like to do the postcards. Ohio, Wisconsin also do the postcards. Those are very effective, handwritten, member to member as well. And again, early voting, knowing when the early voting days is, telling people how to get a ballot, what to watch for, information on voting. Because, look, some states now November ballots, early voting goes out in September, you know. I know Iowa and Pennsylvania are two states where you can start getting ballots in the mail for November, second, third week of September. So, you know, our thinking has to start earlier that way as well. And again, protecting the right to vote. The Department of Justice goes in and raids election offices in Georgia, you know, for example, and takes ballots away. Never happened before. And now they're doing it in several other states. Attempting to interfere with state election officials and local election officials as well. Unprecedented in our country. Trying to, and you hear it all the time, starting with the orange man on vote by mail. Oh, it's terrible. Fraud. Everybody, fraud. Immigrants are voting by mail. Yet he voted in his local election in West Palm Beach just last month, right? So the hypocrisy doesn't stop as well. Using DOJ over now 20 cases going into federal court saying we want all the voter data, which includes name, social security numbers, driver's licenses, in some case health, if you're on some state programs as well. Sometimes income, if you're on some state assistance programs as well too. And we're worried about what's going to happen on election day. Are we going to see people in masks and camouflage, you know, for example, in certain places as well? And then like if they don't like who won, these post-election cycle attacks, you know, oh, we lost. It must have been a fraud, right? January 6th being the worst of all of that. So those are threats, and we want to hear what you're hearing back home or seeing back home as well, because we do work with a number of lawyers as well. We just had this morning the Supreme Court severely restrict what's called Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. That is the part that allowed states and protected to have minority districts so that the gerrymandering of Reconstruction through the 1960s wouldn't hit. There's somebody with a phone, and yeah. President Roach may not be in a pardoning mood today, so yeah. Yeah. So, what happened today saying that this was a Louisiana case where they have two majority black districts that was ruled unconstitutional, even though the population of Louisiana is over 20% black. This is a terrible thing that through the South we could go back to the old gerrymandering of the 40s and 50s and before. Section 2 was put in because the people in 1965 controlling the states were the old guard, and this was a way for the federal government to make sure one person, one vote, and fair elections, and everybody had an equal chance at electing a member of Congress or a state legislator of their choice. As well. Florida and Tennessee could actually still redistrict after this year, as bad as they are gerrymandered, those two states. There's only one Democrat in Congress from Tennessee and Memphis, because the last redistricting, they took the city of Nashville, largest city in the state, and they put, instead of 2 congressional districts, they took 5, and they just, like a piece of pie, sliced the city up out into Republican and rural areas. So a city like Nashville, Tennessee has no Democrat in there, for example. This is what our states could look like. We could have no members from Alabama, regardless of race, that are Democrats. Georgia, they can't figure out how to get rid of at least one in Atlanta. But Sanford Bishop, African member, has been there for many times down in southwest Georgia. His seat would be gone, for example. And Louisiana could be completely wiped out of Democratic districts as well. And this is coming from a project Vote Hub, so this is not partisan. This is actually what could happen. Or we could go the other way. Illinois is good at this stuff. Yeah. We could go totally blue with one crazy marginal seat in Illinois. It looks like it's running up some cornfields there. Yeah. And in California, we could go totally blue there as well, without even a marginal district as well. Could go 17-0 and 52-0. But is that the democracy we really want to have? But that's the fight we're in right now. The absurdity of this situation. So, and thanks to Coms and Lisa for literally putting this together since 7:30 this morning as well. Yes. Now, as a lot of you know, starting in 2020, we have gotten very involved in a lot of voting rights court cases of all different kinds. It started with COVID, where we wanted more drop boxes, where we wanted more extension because the postal system was overwhelmed to get ballots counted after Election Day if they were postmarked by Election Day. Half the states still had something called a witness requirement, that if you were voting by mail, you had to get another voter to sign the outside of your ballot. There's nothing to improve the integrity of the process, but some states had two. You had to go get two voters. Rhode Island and North Carolina actually had two. You had to go find two voters. So if you're a senior before vaccination, living in a senior high-rise, not good to be knocking on your neighbor's door during COVID, like, can you sign my ballot? So we were in a number of states. Minnesota, I know, for example, and worked out after we sued in state court that they waived the witness requirement in the primary and in the general. We were in North Carolina as well. That started us. We were working with a couple of firms, the Perkins Coie firm. Part of them now have become the Elias Law Group. If you see Mark Elias on television, he's on MS Now a lot, is leading it. He gave a great shout out to the Alliance, to the AFL-CIO Executive Council last month about how well we work together and how well we've actually improved voting in this country. Many of these states, we've had multiple cases. Arizona, which had a Republican legislature going crazy right on things, we've had 3 or 4 cases, and thanks to Linda Somo and Dora Vasquez there, we actually had a sue over, yes, that's him, yeah. We had to sue a county, Cochise County, down on the Mexican border in the central part, that the commissioners, which were also the election commissioners, violated state law by not doing a machine count, which is actually more accurate than hand counts, and refused to certify their election. So we had to take them into court. And you remember this lady called Carrie Lake? You say, yeah. Well, the Republicans used her lawyers in this case, and our people had to go get deposed and witnessed, cross-examined by them. We won under state law, and we even got sanctions against the 2 county commissioners who refused to certify that they had to write personal checks each of about $15,000 or $20,000 for not obeying state law. And that was thanks to the Arizona Alliance. Florida, Texas, been there a lot on cases. North Carolina, a lot. We had a sue early on in Michigan, and they changed their law as well. I mean, even in Rhode Island, because of the witness requirements and all. So it's been good for us as an organizing tool, but it's good for democracy. It's been good for local publicity. And if anyone has been involved somewhat in one of these cases, could you raise your hand? Because I think we're going to have a lot of our state presidents and board members who have given witness statements, depositions, put their name on a court case individually, along institutionally. But we're not done yet. We are still in a lot of these states trying to stop voter suppression, and it's simple as that. So we're fighting to protect our personal data. You know, Elon Musk, you may not see him anymore, but Doge still lives. And early on last year, in 25, Doge showed up in big numbers at the Social Security Administration. And they forced out, Vitold and Jason and a number of others from AFGE, Work Social Security, can tell you about it. They hollowed out, Governor O'Malley mentioned it, the agency. They put the village idiot in charge of protecting our data. And we found out early that they were scooping up data. Doge people were not trained, and if you work at Social Security, you have very rigorous training on what data you as an employee can access. And no one person in the 90 years of Social Security, not even the commissioners, has ever had access to all data at one time. Yeah. That all went out the window. So we, AFSCME and AFT, went to court in Baltimore, got a judge who wrote a 150-page opinion putting a temporary restraining order on Doge not to touch anything. You weren't even trained. The Fourth Circuit out of Richmond, very kind of conservative circuit, upheld it. Get to the Supreme Court, and that emergency docket thing you see where they just vote up or down without reason, took the temporary restraining order off last June. The case was filed in March. And within 48 hours, we're now finding out the Doge people scooped up everything. We found out a few months ago, some guy was bragging. I put it on my thumb drive because I'm going to take it to my next private sector job. And now we are still going back in court, and we have asked the judge to put them under oath, to do depositions, to find out what really happened to 300 million people's data. And actually it was closer, they got even more, even people have passed away. They were scooping up everything as well. So that's what we're in the process of discovery doing right now. And of course, the Department of Justice every week opposes everything that our lawyers file, for example. And we're working with a group called Democracy Forward on that case. And the Executive Director of Democracy, woman named Skye Perryman, has sent us a nice video that we can play to thank us for our work. And that's a big applause to everybody. The town hall open mic that we were going to have yesterday, we're going to have that in the afternoon session. So any questions on the politics and all, let's hold them off to there. And Robert has an announcement about the class picture.